Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Talk with Antonio. I am your host, Antonio. Well, today is August 20th, 2024. Today is the second day of the Democratic National Convention. I will make comments later on about this event that's going on here in Chicago, here in the United States, in the city of Chicago, Illinois. We'll talk about that. But for today's episode, I want to talk about something that's located here in Southern California that was very near and dear to my heart. I grew up there pretty much most of my life. Well, not pretty much. I'm sorry. I take it back. I grew up going there. My folks took me there when I was a kid. And first of all, let's talk about for every Angelino here that was born and raised in Southern California, remember, has one point in their life been to Griffith Park, and Griffith Park is, my God, it's huge. By the way, it's lovely. It has this very peaceful place. It has a lot of picnic areas. It's a very quaint place to bring in to make some grilled steaks or grilled beef, grill whatever. It's just a nice and cozy place to bring your family. Just all in all have a great time. And other things that they had, the park has, it has his hidden treasures. Like, for example, it has the museum of trains. I've never actually, believe it or not, I have never actually set foot there, but I've driven past by it. It's very, very nice. It shows a lot of they show, like, from afar you could see some certain things that are no longer in use, like, for example, the wigwag signals, the semaphore signals, any type of old trains like the steam engine locomotives, etc. Whatever. If you're ever around that area, go visit. You won't be sorry. And also, somewhere in Griffith Park, I heard about it very recently on Instagram. It's located somewhere in Griffith Park. I believe it's one Sunday a month that there is a park that's dedicated all to Walt Disney. It's very nice. It shows. It's also free, by the way. Of course, like, the merchandise is not going to be free. Hell no. But in terms of like you're right, like miniature, like trains and everything. It's very. I've seen it on Instagram. Go check it out, people. Now here comes the main part of why I wanted to talk about these two things that I went there for the first 8 years of my life. Well, one of them is, if you were born and raised in Southern California, obviously every Angelino went to the pony ride, the Griffith Park pony rides that was located at the entrance of Griffith Park. I remember when I was a kid, I remember up until I was 8 years old, that was like the very last time I went there. Not every Sunday, I believe. It was like every now and then, like on Sundays, my folks would take me there, and I used to ride the ponies. And I loved it. I enjoyed going there. And I remember it was like, at that time, it was like, I don't remember the exact price. And it was like, for like how many, excuse me, like, I don't know how many times that the horses go, or the ponies, pardon me, would go, but it was very cheap at that time. And I'll never forget it. After, I think it was like three trips or 4 trips, I don't remember. The only thing that's open now is the train, like the train trip that you go there. That's the only thing that's left open there near the Griffith Park pony rides. But to my knowledge, my folks told me that I went there when I think they began taking me when I was 5 years old. Like, there are certain things right now that I don't remember. That part of my life, like right now, my mind is one big blur, ladies and gentlemen. And I remember like thinking about it when I was 5 years old. Like now, that's something I don't remember at all. But I do remember like the very last time my folks took me there. I was 8 years old at that time. and they put me, since I was the oldest one, I was getting older. They put me on the fastest pony rides, and I remember I used to enjoy my time there. And then afterwards, we used to go to the train rides afterwards in that same area. It was just good times that I had. But after I turned 8, I never went there again. And it's just like I just outgrew that, you could say. But I remember even when I was in my teens, or even my 20s, or hell, even my 30s, for Christ's sake, my late 30s, pardon me, I used to hear that a lot. I used to drive there around, and I used to see like the pony rides. It was just like going there. I remember I did set foot there. I'm sorry, but not riding none of those things. But they just added more pony rides. It was just more like the ones that would just go in the circles and all that stuff. And it was just very nice. And now when I was driving there and I just get out of the car and I used to see that, it was like I was just reminiscing on old memories. And it was nice. However, though, now that I'm older, ladies and gentlemen, it kind of made me think about a lot of things. I think I was 7 years old one time. I was riding, and I remember the one of the workers. I don't remember what happened, but I remember when for the animal just to go like a little bit faster, he used to whip it with a belt, and I was like, even when I was at that age, I was like, huh, that's kind of odd. And even my mom at that time said that's kind of fucked up, But it never occurred at that time. But now that I realize, now that I'm 40 years old, people now kind of think about it. That is very fucked up. That's just straight out animal abuse. Hell, my girl said to me that any horse or any type of animal that's just caged up all the time, it is straight out animal abuse. But it just never I remember very even before they closed down the pony rides, they operated for 74 years, from 1948 up until December 21st, 2022. I was like, holy shit, when they shut down, I was surprised. I'm not going to lie to you, I was sad. Because that was something that I think not just me, but all the people that grew up here in Southern California, when they heard they closed down the pony rides, I'll bet dollars to donuts, people, they were sad when they saw the Griffith Park pony rides shut down. And when I heard when they shut it down on December 21st, 2022, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was very sad, because hell, that was for the first, like I said at the beginning, for the first 8 years of my life, ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed going there. I loved going there. But then there was whispers later going on that there was like I mentioned, like how I mentioned that one time when I was 7, I saw that they were whipping this horse that I was riding. They whipped it with a belt very hard, and I was like, that's kind of strange for me. And and like I said, even my mom, hell, even my dad said one time that when they saw how they whipped some horse extremely hard, I thought that was like, that's not nice. Even my dad, who's one of those old at that time, who was kind of had a different way of different views on animals, but now that I asked him very recently, he even said, yeah, that is pretty fucked up. And it says here on the statement, it says here, the Griffith Park pony rides in Los Angeles, California, operated for 74 years from 1948 to December 21st, 2022. The rides were a popular attraction in the park, and many people have fond memories of them. I have fond memories, like I said before. Some say it was a family tradition, and others remember riding the ponies as children and bringing their children later on. And my nephew, who is now 21 years old, went to the pony rides in Griffith Park. And he even heard of he even said that when they shut it down, he was quite surprised. But at the but at the same time not surprised, because he also had a hunch in terms of how they were treating the animals there. But it also says here that the pony ride structures are considered historically significant and are identified as a, quote, historically sensitive resource and area in the document that established Griffith Park's historical status. In 1960, the City Recreation and Park Commission awarded a contract to build a concession building and sanitary facility aside. It says here that the Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks had an agreement with the concessionaire to operate the rides, but the contract expired in December 2022. The RAP decided to end its relationship with the rides due to unreported pony deaths and limited documentation about them. I actually do believe that. It says here that despite several months of... This is from KTLAnews.com. It says here that despite several months of improvements to the facility and treatment of animals at Griffith Park pony rides, the decision to not renew the city's contract with longtime Los Angeles mainstay was made due to a handful of pony deaths that the city went unreported. An independent expert hired by Los Angeles to evaluate the pony rides found that the deaths of 4 ponies were not reported to the city for several months, according to documents posted on the Los Angeles Concessions Commission Task Force website. Dr. Rachel Shahar, a third-party veterinarian with an emphasis in equine health, wrote in a report to the city that 4 ponies died in 2022, and the owner of the property did not report the deaths until she met them directly several months later. Sachar said that they did not appear that the animals died from neglect, but it said due to a lack of transparency and communication was troubling and needed to be improved. 2 of the ponies died of natural causes, and others were euthanized due to severe colic. 2 ponies died in March, another died in April, and the 4th died in August. The city was not informed of their passing until September 30th. Sachar wrote in her findings adding that she did not receive detailed veterinary reports regarding the health of the deceased ponies. Sachar also evaluated the health of the other ponies and livestock that were at the facility, and found that while most of them were in good health, some had medical issues that required attention. 1 pony needed treatment for conjunctivitis, aka pink eye, another treatment for abrasions, and a third needed for treatment for open lesions on his withers, the area between the shoulder blades. 1 of the ponies, as well as 7 others, needed treatment for their intestinal tract. Horses that regularly ingest sand can develop sand colic, a condition that leads to irritation and sometimes obstruction of the intestines, and it can also lead to several health problems that can result in euthanasia, as seen in the ponies who were euthanized. Sachar recommended a simple and affordable solution of regularly giving the ponies xylem to flush the sand from their system. She also recommended rubber mats be placed below where the ponies were being fed. However, her report did not paint a bleak picture of the conditions for animals at the decades-old Los Angeles landmark. During her evaluation, she commended the facility for following through the previous recommendations she had made months prior. She also tasked, while observing the facility for more than a year and the months since her initial visit, she found that many of her suggested improvements to the facility were made. And this is what she said, and I quote, "I found the working conditions to be satisfactory and did not witness any gross violations related to the care of the treatments of the animals on exhibit. I observed numerous improvements made to the facility since my initial visit. Water access and shade with misters were plentiful for all ponies on break and between rides. The grounds and facilities were clean, and the ponies were well groomed and maintained." Unquote. She also added that the ponies appeared, quote, bright, alert, responsive, and willing to perform their jobs. She also commented that she was pleased to find the ponies who remained on the property since her last visit had received follow-up dental examinations, which was tracked in each animal's veterinary history. Ultimately, Sachar commended the establishment for making improvements since her earlier visits and provided some suggestions for further improvement and encouraged the facility to continue working. But it was the unreported deaths of the ponies and limited documentation regarding their deaths that led to the Los Angeles Department of Recreation Parks' decision to terminate its relationship with the Griffin Park pony rides. It says here, in a letter to Steve Weeks, owner and operator of the Griffin Park pony rides, the city said it would allow its first contract to, quote, naturally expire on December 21st, 2022. Jimmy Kim, general manager of the Department of Recreation and Parks, said that the city would take over the location and, quote, reimagine the cultural, recreational, or educational activities offered at the site. Kim added that the city would allow a 60-day window after the contract expires to allow for Weeks to find new homes for the ponies. Upon the announcement of the city ending its relationship with Griffin Park Pony Rides, Weeks said he will be finding, quote, forever homes for the ponies, and he said he was looking for qualified horse loves who care as much as our ponies as I do. The pony rides, and this is something that kind of made me think also, the pony rides have come under fire by animal rights activists in recent years. And you know, I always have suspected that PETA had something to do with this, because those motherfuckers always have an agenda. Look, I'm not saying that I'm not against, I'm for animal abuse. No, I never said that. It's just that PETA they have their own agenda. They claim to love animals when in reality that can be further from the truth. That will be for another episode. I am not a fan of PETA. Plain and simple. It says here that the pony rides have come under fire by animal rights activists in recent years, with some alleging that the ponies were overworked, and treated poorly. And that's something I kind of do agree with. Like I said, even when my nephew said that they used to whip him a lot, which I think that is fucked up. It says here that the accusations have led to some protests, which Weeks have said led customers unhappy and resulted in children being yelled at by demonstrators. And you know, that's something I've always had a strong dislike, because people who are protesting, it's understandable to yell or say something to adults, but not to kids. Come on. If people like that are gonna scare kids, give me a fucking break. They deserve to get their asses handed by the fucking police. It says here that in a public post on Facebook earlier this week, Weeks added additional details about the pony deaths that he felt were lacking and reported by the media and the animal activists. One of the 4 ponies who died over the last year, he said that they were all retired ponies who were not actively working but rather lived on the property, so they had permanent homes. He confirmed that the 2 were euthanized due to extreme colic, but he said that the veterinarians that treated the animals did everything they could to save them, but they were, quote, unable to. One of the 2 ponies who died of natural causes has said that one was 38 years old. One of the oldest of the facility's animals died in its sleep. The other, he said, died in a, quote, freak accident where a pony was kicked by another pony in the corral and died from the blow. He disputed the city's assertion that he failed to report the deaths, adding, quote, medical care for ponies is a priority despite what these protesters say. And that's something, I'm not saying that I agree with them, but they wouldn't lie about that. That's just my opinion. But like I said, when I heard that they shut down the pony rides in December of 2022, I was pretty sad. But like I said to my mom, it's a double-edged sword, because it's sad because it was part of my childhood, but at the same time, on the other side of it, I'm glad that these poor animals are not being mistreated by these workers, being whipping them with belts and all that stuff, which I think it is. Now that I'm older, I think it's extremely fucked up. And very recently, I went there just for old time's sake, to see the site where the whole pony ride was at. They can demolish it because it is now, quote unquote, a historical landmark. And it says here that this is directly from laparks.org. It says here, over the past year, RAP has been meeting with focused community groups, conducting community pop-ups, hosting online and telephone surveys, and held a community open house in March as part of the city's efforts to envision the future uses that should be considered in this area. A final report will be shared with the public and the board, compiling all the community feedback, research, and a short checklist of ideas and examples that the board may give direction to further explore. The board will review the public's feedback and provide direction to RAP staff to initiate the process of selecting a preferred new use, or more, they ask the staff to clarify items that may require further study. They say that the old pony rides facility, the location, they want to work and create something there. What's going to happen? What's going to be built there? I only have 3 words for you people. I don't know. But since that's a historical landmark right now, I was there just to visit. And let me say, when I got there, I parked my car and I walked around the old pony rides facility. And man, it felt like this nostalgia. It felt, I don't know. It was weird. I was walking around the old pony rides tracks, and there was this one that was like, it just like the ponies were just going in one circle. That was like for like the baby, the baby, like the small babies, toddlers, and the old track where the faster ponies were going. And I stood there and I looked at it. It felt so surreal just being there, knowing that part of my childhood has been closed forever. And I don't know. It was just weird. It was weird being there. I got nostalgia. I got very nostalgic. And the only thing I can say is about the pony rides that were there. The only thing I can say is thank you for the memories. Thank you for making my childhood very, 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 very. I was happy. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I was just a kid when I went there, and it was nice. But you know what they say: all good things must come to an end. And after 70 plus years, the pony rides ended. And it you know what they say, stuff happens for a reason. And the only thing I can say is for the ponies that were there, that when they closed the park, I hope they went to forever homes that they are now loved. So that's it about the pony rides. And now let's talk about the other thing that's been shut down in Griffith Park. And I'm like, what? And I went there very recently, like a few weeks ago. That's another thing that's been shut down. It's the merry-go-round or carousel, however you want to call it. But I call it carousel. The Griffith Park Carousel. That's been shut down since 2022. It says here, let me see. Okay. This is from friendsofgriffinpark.org. It says here, this was published on July 17th, 2023. And it's titled, The Ups and Downs of Griffith Park's Merry-Go-Round or Carousel. The Griffith Park merry-go-round has been part of Angelinos' life for 88 years. Children have gravitated towards the happy, upbeat music from his Stinson military band, organ with smiles and laughter. Some horses date back to 1895, mind you, people. The carved and painted horses each have their own personality. Devil is a black horse with one leg sticking out in the back as if he's going to kick you. Hannibal has a stubby unicorn horn guarding his head, Isidol, carved by renowned carver Charles Luoff, is a dapple beauty with flowers in her reins. A pure white stallion, Arthur, boasts the profile of a lion above his foreleg. Adults who used to ride the merry-go-round when they were kids are now having just as much fun riding horses with their grandchildren. And it says here, this is something that kind of surprised me, because I understand back in 2020 when the world was in chaos due to fucking COVID. Everything was shut down, theme parks, baseball games, whatever. Obviously, they were going to shut it down. But it says here, ladies and gentlemen, that the Griffith Park merry-go-round has been sat idle and locked up for 2 years. Mind you, 2 fucking years. And it says here, it's not clear when it will reopen or even if it will necessarily stay, quote, in Griffith Park. And it says here that the carousel, with 68 handmade jumping horses lined up for 4 horses abreast, has been closed for repairs since January 2022. According to a court document from co-owner Rosemary West, repairs estimate to reopen the attraction have ballooned from 28,000 to about 100,000. Fuck. And you know, this is something that I've always had. Like I have my own opinions about that, and it says here that the other half of the attraction belonged to Julio Gosdinsky, who started working at the carousel as a teenager and inherited half when the old owner, West's ex-husband Warren Deasy, died in 2011. And it says here, but then Gosdinsky died suddenly in August 2020 at the age of 49 without leaving a will. As a result, the matter is now in probate court with Gosdinsky's mother, Trudy Cavero, and sister named in the legal documents. Cavero's attorney, Cynthia Palacios, says she hopes the probate can resolve this year that could pave way for a sale. Cavero's intention has always been to follow Julio's dream, Palacios said. He wanted to keep it running no matter what. But if the carousel changes owners, it could be moved to a new location, said Jerry Hans, president of the Friends of Griffith Park. After all, it has happened before. Built by Spillman Company, the carousel was originally in San Diego in 1926. Friends of Griffith Park with some individual horses dating back to 1895. It didn't arrive in Griffith Park until 1937. Back then, a ride cost a nickel. The merry-go-round eventually became a Los Angeles icon, appearing in films such as Mel Brooks' silent movie and TV shows such as Barnaby Jones, Charlie's Angels, and Policewoman. And also, this is what it's most famous for. There is a story. I do believe it because there's a picture and there's the chair that's in a glass panel with the picture of the late Walt Disney. And it says here that a story goes that the ride even inspired Walt Disney to create Disneyland after he'd been taking his kids to the merry-go-round on weekends. It says here that Hans noted that the carousel has been closed when the park lost another inexpensive attraction, the pony rides, as I was talking about, which closed near the end of 2022. We really miss them both, Hans said, because there aren't too many inexpensive things you can do in the park anymore. But you know, this is something that I've always discussed. Well, not discussed, pardon me. I've always had an opinion. And this is this, and you may ask, what does this have to do with the carousel merry-go-round in Griffith Park? I, for one, have an opinion that owning something that's extremely old, that's more than 100 years old, in my opinion, it's not worth keeping. Because, say if something messes up, then you're going to have a hard time finding the bar because you're not going to find, say, for example, a piece that belonged to a horse because it was from X amount of year, and especially for this merry-go-round in Griffith Park, that was built in 1895, mind you, people. And where are you going to find that? They have to go to the factory or whoever built this thing, and they have to create a duplicate. It's like they were talking here. The renovation go up to $100,000. I mean, my God, that is a lot of money. And as I said a few weeks ago, I went there, and I have the pictures up in my Instagram. If you want to look at the pictures, it's at Talk with my Instagram is Talk with Antonio, and you will see the pictures that I took. It was so weird seeing the carousel being shut down since January 2022. But here's something that I'm gonna ask: will it leave Griffith Park? I don't know if Los Angeles has made this a historical landmark, because once a property becomes a historical landmark in that city, I don't think it can leave. But I'm going to do some research later on, and I will comment that if the merry-go-round in Griffith Park is a historical land site, I don't think it can leave, because if it's like, for example, the Bob's Big Boy that's located in Burbank, they can't shut it down. They can't touch it in terms of remodeling it, because that's a historical site of Los Angeles. So will the carousel or merry-go-round leave Griffith Park? I seriously doubt that. I don't think it will ever leave. But if they do reopen it, I just hope they reopen it very, very soon, because I would love to, now that I've have taken care of myself in terms of my weight. Now, I even when I lost a lot of weight, I wanted to go ride it, but then I found out it was shut down. I was like, man, that stinks. But I have been taking care of myself now, and when they do reopen, will it be in 2025? Will it be in 2026? Who knows if we'll reopen again this in the coming years. But I really do hope they do, because I want to go just for old time's sake with the merry-go-round in Griffith Park. And let's see what happens. Only time will tell if they reopen it in the coming years. So, well, that about wraps up for this part of the podcast. Now let's talk about the DNC, the Democratic National Convention that's occurring here in Chicago, Illinois. Well, yesterday, few people spoke. For example, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, President Biden. And let me say, ladies and gentlemen, President Biden was like, people were just like even President Biden was stunned that he was just trying to talk, and people were just like cheering and cheering and cheering. I have my own views on President Biden. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but I will say that he did a lot of things that I didn't agree with. He did things that I did agree with. It's just like a 50-50 thing. But yeah, that's what happened yesterday. Now today, the only people that I know right now, I know that Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles spoke. Another former Trump, a couple of former Trumpers are speaking, and they are now voting for Vice President Harris. The big ones that spoke are Michelle Obama, the First Lady Michelle Obama, President Obama spoke, and Jesus Christ on a taxi cab. Oh my God! Right now, Trump is. I'll bet dollars to donuts, ladies and gentlemen, that Trump is fucking fuming right now, because right now, President Obama said something in terms of, you know how Trump, he was just making fun of him, like his hand gestures and all that stuff. And right now they were showing on Twitter, let me see if I can find it, because they're saying that I think President Obama made a small dick prank or something like that. Let me see. Let me find out. Let me see. Okay, here it is. This is something that President Obama spoke. It says here is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he wrote down a golden escalator 9 years ago. There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd size. And yeah, I do agree with President Obama. Let me see. Here it is. Here's President Obama speaking.
The people who will decide this election are asking a very simple question. Who will fight for me? Who's thinking about my future, about my children's future, about our future together? One thing is for certain, Donald Trump is not losing sleep over that question. Here's a 78-year-old billionaire.
Here we go.
Who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala.
Roast.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
You can see how President Obama is just like making the hand gestures just like Trump.
It just goes on and on.
Yo, President Obama just...
The people
I'm sorry about
who will
that.
decide this election.
He just drew first blood right now. And yesterday also, another person who roasted Trump was former First Lady Hillary Clinton. Oh, man. A lot of the comments I was watching on Twitter are saying that Hillary handed Trump's ass. Like, ooh. I've seen the speech that she did. Holy shitballs. She probably ripped a new asshole on Trump. And you know, it's funny that look, I'm not trying to be like ultra political. I'm not saying that I'm pro Democrat. I'm not saying this. I am now more of an independent, as I said to my girl. But there are certain things, like I said, I agree with Democrats and I agree with Republicans. Not all of them. But Trump, though, is just like, oh my God. And like, I know I've seen a lot of comments here on Twitter. They're showing pictures that Trump was posting on Truth Social. Like he did return to Twitter, but he only wrote like a couple of things. But in terms of like when President Obama spoke, he's just, you know what Trump is? He is just another diarrhea mouth old punk. That's what he is, because all he ever, like, he is, President Obama is right. Trump, all he ever does is spew conspiracy theories. He spews a lot of hateful rhetoric. And the one thing, and hell, even some hardcore MAGA supporters of him are saying that Trump cannot be relying on what happened 4 years ago, because the one thing that Donald Trump has in his fucking mouth is that the 2020 election was stolen, the 2020 election was rigged. That's all he ever talks about. And people who are his biggest supporters are saying that this guy should not be doing just a presidential campaign, just focusing on the 2020 election. That was 4 years ago, mind you. But Trump, all he ever does is talk about this, is spewing conspiracy theories, saying stupid stuff, you know. What, like I said, Trump, he needs to focus on something else, not focusing on the rally sizes like President Obama said. And he should just focus on, and even like his supporters say that he should focus on something else, not just on crowd sizes, not just on making up stupid stuff or just saying stupid stuff, just saying like stupidity. That's all. And let's see who's going to speak up tomorrow. The one person I haven't seen yet spoken, or I could be wrong, perhaps. I've only heard of what's going on. I haven't watched the Democratic National Convention. Is President Bill Clinton, and that he just looks nothing like the president that I grew up watching him over the years. And yeah, let's see if he speaks tomorrow, because I know for a fact that now that Vice President Harris is going to accept the nomination, let's see how it goes in the coming months, because right now the polls are before Vice President Harris came in, President Biden was losing Trump for a few points, not that many, but just like a couple points. But now that Vice President Harris entered the race, it's a different thing right now. All like the leads that Trump has been getting has eroded, and yet somehow Trump, in terms of the crowd size or the polls, he says that everything is fake, and he says that why there should be a presidential election, I'm winning in all the polls. That's not how it works, man. That's why there's a voting, and that's why there's a presidential election every 4 years. And there are some people who are calling Vice President Harris a communist, especially by these stupid right-wing nuts who don't even know the reality of what communism is. They just say it because that's all that they're fed. And yet, what Trump is trying to do, they're trying to tell the guy how to live our lives. Like, for example, like they're trying to remove Roe v. Wade, like the abortion issue, all these things. And Trump is trying to put that, especially that Project 2025. That's something I really don't want to get into that. But other than that, let's see what happens in the final day of the DNC. And let's see what happens in the coming months up until November. It's going to be a real doozy this year. And it's different than it was 4 years ago, because the 2020 election, it was havoc. It was different because it was happening during COVID. And let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen, in the coming months. I will talk about more about that. And let's see. So that about wraps up for this week's podcast. I will talk about something. I will mention it. And if you have any questions, you could email me at talkwithantonio@gmail.com. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to say something that I normally don't do it. But in my Instagram page, right now I am trying to get into another type of business, and I have set up a GoFundMe. And so far, no one has donated, that's okay. All I know is that if you have time, please take a look at it, and anything would help, please. The people that listen to me, and if you see it, please spread the word to everybody, because this is for a good cause. I'm trying to venture into another type of business. And my GoFundMe is on my Instagram, press on my link, and under the podcast link, you will see the GoFundMe. And please read my story. And if anything would help, I'll be forever grateful, because I want to start this new venture. And yeah, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. So anything would help, and if you do give, that would mean the world to me. So thank you so much for listening, and have a great night, and thank you.